Help me out on this. You talking about these things that people have with their hands and they inhale it and the smoke comes out? Is that what you mean? Or are you talking about the puffers? Asthma? Ya salam. Well, things are very crazy now. So I don't, I don't know what to answer. Bi-idhnillah ta'ala. تفضل يا شيخ. هذه ميكروفونات. I think we should put the microphone. Use this. Come sit in the middle. That's a better idea. Inshallah.
Another person asked, do you have to make your intention every single night?
I believe I answered that question, inshallah. No. It's sufficient for you to make the niyyah that night before the entrance of Ramadan. Before the Ramadan enters, it's sufficient. You do not have to make the niyyah every night that you're going to fast the month of Ramadan. As well as you don't have to make at-talaffulu bin-niyyah. You don't have to say that you are going to fast in the month of Ramadan in words. It's sufficient that you make niyyah, and niyyah, mahallu niyyah aina, where is the niyyah made? Al-qalbu, right? The heart. Barakallah fiqh.
A person said, what's an advice to those who call themselves Ramadan Muslims or feel like they only practice during the month of Ramadan?
Bismillah. So I think they don't call themselves, but others call them that. So you shouldn't mock others. If you find a brother or a sister that is willing to practice during the month of Ramadan and they're taking that step to better themselves by praying, by fasting, by coming to the masjid, you should encourage them and not shun them and call them names and Ramadan Muslims, even if they have a habit of going back after Ramadan. You don't know what's in their heart. Maybe they're struggling, they're trying very hard to practice and become better Muslims, and they try to take advantage of Ramadan, but Allahu A'lam what happens afterwards. And maybe this Ramadan might be the Ramadan that they change. So you never know. You should not mock others, because who knows, maybe you're going to be in their shoes and they're going to be in your shoes if you're the one that's practicing now. So never feel content with where you're at and never belittle others. Wallahu A'lam.
If someone is fasting and is sinning, is it accepted? What if they are just missing the salah?
The question is asking, if somebody is fasting and is sinning, is his fast still accepted? Your fast has nuqsan. I mentioned that earlier. There is a decrease when it comes to the reward. You're not going to get the full reward. So that's one point, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. What if they are just missing salah? Salah, salah, as we all know, is the pillar, or one of the pillars, or it is the pillar of the deen, umud ad-din, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us. To the point where some scholars, it's very serious, where is the person who is not praying a Muslim, right? So you shouldn't even put yourself in that situation where you're missing salah. So salah is very important. Salah is one of the pillars, and so fasting is one of the pillars. So we should be, bi-idhnillah ta'ala, not miss salah. Try your best to not miss salah, because you are committing a big sin for missing salah. If someone is, I think that's the next question. Sorry.
All right, someone asked.
Can I just add to that? I just want to add to the question about saying that, I'm fasting, but I'm missing salah. If you look at the Arkan al-Islam, after the shahadatain, what comes? The salah comes. And then siyam comes, fasting comes. To the point that all the actions, all the orders and the commands that were given to the Prophet ﷺ all came through Jibreel alayhi salam, from Allah to Jibreel to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except for salah. Salah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was taken from the comfort of his own home to Masjid al-Aqsa, Jerusalem, and then lifted up to the seven heavens where he got the command of salah. So he had to get it directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show you the importance of it. It was not something that was even sent with Jibreel alayhi salam to tell the Prophet, but the Prophet had to get it himself. From it being 50 salah, 40, reduced until it came to 5 salah, to show you that this is not something to take light. It is something very serious, to the point that that's one of the first things that Allah will ask you on the Day of Judgment. You know, to the point that Sh.Zakaria mentioned that some ulama even believe that the one who abandons it is a kafir, that he should not be prayed with the Muslims. You know, he should not be prayed on. He should not be buried with the Muslims. His wealth should not be inherited. All of this to show you the seriousness of it. So it's not something to belittle. And the Sahabas, they would not consider the abandoning of anything as kufr except salah. So it's not something to take light, brothers. It's something that you should actually work on first, before the siyam, before the fasting. You should work on it, and fasting should actually encourage you to become, inshallah, better with your salah.
Yeah. So this person asks, Salat al-Subh iyo suhoor meeqa saac ka dhexeeyo?
هذا الأخ يجيد الصومالي ما شاء الله. We should give him, a lot of credit. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. Do you understand the question? مفهوم. السعودية شو بفهمي؟ السعودية شو بفهم. Between Salat al-Subh, morning prayer, and suhoor, how much time is in between them? I think the answer is in the question, right? Suhoor and Fajr is what's how much time is between Suhoor and Fajr? You can do Suhoor until Salatul Fajr, until the Adhan of Fajr. I think that's answering the question, right? You can do Suhoor until the Adhan for Fajr, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. That's one, inshallah. I believe she had another question here too, the same person or somebody else.
They said, can you go to the dentist while you are fasting? Because sometimes water goes in your mouth.
So you just got to make sure you don't swallow that water, or nothing goes down your throat. So if you can affirm and make sure that nothing goes down your throat, then you can go to the dentist, inshallah. But it's better to delay it maybe till a fourth time, to be on the safe side. That's why even the Prophet ﷺ, when he was talking about al-madmada wal-istinshaq, he said, when you're making wudu and you do the madmada, you put water in your mouth and your nose, he said, بالغوا في المضمض والاستنشاق إلا أن تكون صائما, right? He said, do the madmada in extensive force and the istinshaq, but unless that you are fasting. Because what can happen when you're fasting? You can actually swallow it. You can go inside. So if you can make sure that you don't swallow or it goes inside your mouth, then you should avoid it. If you can make sure, then go, inshallah.
Okay. This person asked, is vaping considered haram in general, and especially during the month of Ramadan?
Yes, vaping is haram outside and inside Ramadan. You're smoking nicotine, you're wasting money, you're harming your body. All of these things makes it haram. So if you're doing it while fasting, your fasting is broken and you're getting a sin. And if you're doing it outside of Ramadan, you're getting a sin. So it's haram. People think they take it lightly, and they say, oh, I'm not smoking or I'm not doing anything. It's just vaping. Vaping is haram, brothers and sisters, and it's an epidemic that's been going around in the young generation nowadays, that everyone is vaping. So be careful, brothers and sisters. This thing is haram. There is nicotine there's waste of money, there's bad to your health. All of these things make it haram. Allah knows best.
This person asked, what are the consequences of not fasting? And what is the benefit of fasting?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. The consequences of fasting. First of all, you're committing a big sin, right? A big sin. That's one that we have to understand. And this is, you're getting the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His wrath. So, the consequences for that is Nara Jahannam, wa'iyadu billah. Unless you make tawbah and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. So that's one thing that we have to understand, inshallah. When you commit something that is major, a sin that is major, this is one of the pillars of Islam. You have no excuse unless you are from the people who are excused not to fast, to miss fasting. And even then, there are certain things, inshallah, that you have to do, and we can speak about that, inshallah, another time. Barakallahu fikum.
This person said, if I finish school or work at, let's say, 8 or 7, and the prayer time is in 30 to 40 minutes, but you will be on the subway by then, which will take about an hour or an hour and a half to get home, what do you do? Do you pray before the time, or do you pray after, when you get home?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. You're not allowed to pray before the time, and you're not allowed to pray after the time. You have to pray within that time. Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that verily salah has been established upon the believer at their prescribed times. So this person is saying 30 minutes, what? They left before. So the salat did not arrive 30 and 40 minutes before. So are they allowed to pray before the time? And if they decide to leave, they'll get there an hour and a half. Usually the salat times are big enough for you to be able to pray. So if you travel and it takes you an hour and a half, you can pray at a later time. So let's say Dhuhr comes in at 1 o'clock, 1:20 around there, and it takes you an hour and a half to get home, and you get home at 2:30, 3 o'clock, you can still pray at that time. That's still within the time of Dhuhr. So alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a leeway within the prayers, that they're not only at a specific constraint time. There is leeway to the time. If you cannot pray at the beginning of the time, then pray at the middle of the time, or before the next. So there's a leeway, as long as you don't pray once the salah time exits. So if it's the time is very tight, like Maghrib for example, and by the time, so they're saying if I leave, the time for salah did not come in, and if I travel, the salah for the time for salah will exit. Then for this person, the best thing to do is to wait until the salah time comes in, establish it, and if that's not possible, then maybe establish it on the way there. If you're driving, pull over, you know what I mean, and pray, whatever the case. Fattaqullaha mastata'tum. If you're in an airplane, pray while sitting down in the flight. But with takbirat al-ihram, do it standing, inshallah, and then finish the rest while sitting, because it's a rukun that you have to do it standing if you're capable of doing it.
So this person said, so there's a hadith on how the best of men are the ones that pray in the first row, and the best for women are the ones that pray in the last row. So does that count for today's masjids, which are separated and there is no exposure?
The asl is, the original stance that the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of sufuf for the men are the front ones, and the best for the female are the back. Even if there's a partition, the hadith remains. There are some ulama that do say that if there's a partition between the men and the women, then the best for the woman is the first rows. But the asl stands that, even if there's a partition, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the best for the female is the last row, and that is the safer opinion, and Allah knows best.
This person asked, what are the top 3 actions you recommend for Ramadan?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. First of all, you're fasting, so alhamdulillah, that's a very, very good thing in itself. I cannot specify, Allahu alam, if there's a hadith that specifies, the best things to do in Ramadan, top 3. But obviously, reading the Quran is something that you should be doing. Giving sadaqah as well, as I mentioned before, charity is something that you should be doing as well, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And also making sure that you pray, your prayers, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, on time, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. These are some things that inshallah I could, barakallah feek, recommend you with.
And to add to that, the recitation of the Quran, the Book of Allah. This is the month that the Quran has been revealed. So to get connected with the Book of Allah and to increase in reciting it, inshallah ta'ala.
This person asked, what's the reward of the one who prays? What's the reward of the one who fasts during the month of Ramadan and also the 6 days of Shawol?
The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, من صام رمضان ثم أتبعه ستا من شوال كان كصيام الدهر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, that the one who fasts Ramadan and follows it with the 6 days of Shawwal, it is like he has fasted the entire year. So you get the reward of fasting the entire year, inshallah. So it's something that you should try as soon as you finish Ramadan. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us reach it and complete it, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us reach it bil-afiyah, inshallah, and to finish it with good health. And so to fast the 6 days immediately, that's the best because you're in that mood of fasting. But if you cannot fast it right away, then make sure you fast it within the month of Shawwal, any days. You can fast it all together or you can fast it separate, however you like.
This person asked, what are some tips for someone who's struggling to maintain khushu' in salah?
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Hadith Jibreel bi'idhnillah ta'ala should help this person inshallah and all of us. Having ihsan, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him, for verily if you do not see Him, He sees you. So having that ihsan, making that ihsan, to get that feeling that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in front of you in salah. To have that focus when it comes to praying. To know that you are standing in front of the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. This should help you inshallah when it comes to having the khushu' in your salah.
This person asked, what if I oversleep and wake up after suhoor?
Do you want an excuse to miss fasting? You still have to fast that day. Suhoor is sunnah. You should strive to fast, to eat suhoor. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged it. تَصَحَّرُوا فَإِنَّ فِي السُّحُورِ بَرَكَةً. Eat suhoor, for in suhoor there is barakah. But that is still not exempt you from missing your fast. So if you miss suhoor, you still have to fast hungry, inshallah ta'ala. But if you reach a level where you feel like you're going to faint or you're going to feel very ill or sick, and you know yourself very well, and you know that you continuing this will make you faint, and we're talking about once you reach a level, not what you think will happen. So it's very clear that you differentiate between the two. So a person misses suhoor and they say, oh, because I missed suhoor, I'm going to break my fast because I feel like later on through the day I'm going to faint. No. We're not talking about that person. We're talking about the person who misses suhoor, and while they're fasting, they reach a level where they feel like they will faint, then that person, we tell them, break your fast and make up that day afterwards. Inshallah ta'ala.
So inshallah, we will save these questions for after salah, inshallah.
Allah